Hey, brothers and sisters, the Ninja Tower event is out today, so I wanted to put together a quick overview guide for some of you that haven't seen anything from the event yet, just so you kind of understand what you're getting into as far as the Tower event. And then, just a quick overview as far as some of the new stuff and what you can expect that Small Giant added to the game. So, with the Ninja Tower event, um, I will say proceed with caution in terms of the summoning portal, and I'll tell you exactly why in just a second here. But the video today, I'm just going to break this up into two parts. We're going to talk about what's new as far as the 8 new heroes and then the new troops. And then we'll cover the tower at the back half of the video. And I'll just give you a brief overview so you kind of know what you're getting into, know how to approach those first couple floors, and then some tips as far as what I've kind of learned from the event so far that I want to pass on to you guys. So with the Ninja Summon event, it was a little disappointing on Small Giant's part on this as far as the extremely low drop rate on the Epic Ninja heroes, which are your 4-star heroes. I was hoping that they'd probably be, or that they were going to be more in line with, the standard, like maybe 20% or 25% best case scenario. But the chance of summoning an Epic Ninja hero is only 5.7%, and that just seems really low for a new and exciting event like this. So I'm a little disappointed with that. The legendary ninja heroes, I can understand the 1%. That seems pretty on par with what they normally do with the legendaries. But the 4 stars, that's really kind of where I like to focus now because they're so easy to level up and they're fun to use. And so I don't know. It just seems like low odds. But I'll move on. Everything else from here is positive. I just kind of want to get that out of the way at the top, just so that you kind of understood that the odds of the summoning are very low this time. So for the new 4-star epic heroes, we have Ametrine, Shale, and Sapphire. Ametrine is, the special is Blur of Steel. So I'm just going to start at the 3 mana charges because these special cards on these characters are extremely long, and they just get longer and longer as we go through the heroes. So for a ×3 mana charge, the Ametrine dispels buffs from all enemies, and she deals 280% damage to all enemies. For Shale, his special is called Channel Key, and he does at 3 times mana charge, he does a regeneration of 579 HP over 3 turns for all allies, and he also cleanses all status ailments from all allies. And for Sapphire, her special is From Shadows, so at a ×3 mana charge that she deals 260% damage to all enemies, and then the attack has an 85% chance to bypass defensive buffs, and this includes counterattacks, so that's a pretty good skill on the 4-star. For the new 5-star legendary heroes, we actually have 5 of these. Jade is your nature. We have Micah in Holy. We have Garnet in Red, or Fire. We have Cobalt in Ice, and we have Onyx in Dark. So for Jade, as far as the nature new legendary, the special is called Shared Visage. So at a ×3 mana charge, she's reducing the mana of all enemies by 25%, and then all allies are getting a plus 75% chance of dodging special attacks that do damage for 5 turns. For Micah, his special is called Connect Kai. At ×3 mana charge, he's all allies are sharing received damage with each other for 5 turns. All allies are getting a plus 73% defense for 5 turns, and all allies are getting plus 33% mana generation for 5 turns. So this is another nice hero as well. For Garnet, the special is called Awaken Kai. At ×3 mana charge, she's boosting health of all allies by 720. If health exceeds max HP, it is added as temporary HP, and then max temporary HP is 100% of max HP. Boosted health counters max HP reduction, and then all allies are immune to new status ailments for 4 turns. So this is a really nice fire hero. There aren't a lot of, or I should say, nice fire healer. There aren't a lot of healers in the fire class as far as the legendaries. I think there's only really like 1. So I like to see Garnet, even though I'll probably never actually get her because the odds are so low of getting these legendaries in this event. For Onyx, he's the Dark Legendary. His special skill is called Crippling Claws. At ×3 mana charge, he's dealing 350% damage to all enemies. All enemies are immune to new buffs for 5 turns, and then he dispels buffs from all enemies. So if you notice, I haven't really talked about the mana speed on any of these heroes, on the 4 or the 5, because essentially their mana speed is called charge. So let's go through Cobalt real quick, and then I'll tell you what as far as the mana speed charge. So Cobalt, his special is Katana Rain. At 3 times mana charge, he deals 360% damage to all enemies. The attack has a 100% chance to bypass defensive buffs, and then this also includes counterattacks. So another nice ice legendary hero. I like the bypass buffs and counterattacks on a lot of these heroes. So as far as the mana charge that I was mentioning, basically to charge 1 mana charge, it takes 6 tiles, regular tiles that hit the enemy team, or if they're ghosted, it only takes 3. So to get up to the ×3 mana charge with all of these heroes, you're looking at 8 regular tiles or 9 ghosted tiles. So I have played around with a couple of the 4 stars, and it seems relatively quick to get to a full ×3 mana charge on all these heroes. The other thing I'll mention is what's nice about them is if you want to bail out early and you don't want to wait till the ×3, because you can see like a special coming up on the enemy team. What's nice about these ninjas is you can just fire off at like ×1 or ×2 mana charge if you want, and then start refilling. You don't always have to wait till ×3. So it's adding a whole new layer to the game in terms of being able to create your own pace of attacks, where you're not just trying to fill it up and then fire it. You have all these different levels, so you can kind of just wait. If you're not worried about attacks coming in, or you have some time, you can do it. In situations where you want to move fast, you can move fast. So I really like that aspect of these ninja heroes. So in addition to the new heroes, we also have new troops that were introduced. So as far as the ninja troop summon, what's really cool about this is you can use all your epic troop summon tokens. So I had started to save those a while back. I only had about 5 or 6 when the event started last night. But it was nice to be able to use those epic troop summons in the new portal. I didn't get any of the new troops, unfortunately, because the chance to get an epic ninja troop is only 5%, and it's already pretty hard to get a epic classic troop with the 10% rate. So I did get a couple more of the epic classic troops. I was lucky on that, but didn't get a new epic ninja troop yet. But I'll break down or show you exactly kind of what's going on with these new troops. So we do have a new 4-star troop in each class. They're not mana troops anymore. Now they have instead of mana gen, they have a ability called bypass defensive buffs. So what this ability is the hero has a chance to bypass defensive buffs when they're firing off their specials or their attacks. So what's also interesting here is the stats are the same as a mana troop, except for the bypass defensive and the mana. Those are swapped out. But each of these heroes still has attack, defense, and healing bonus. But if we compare between the new ninja troops and the mana troops, basically the attack is 6% higher on the ninja troops than the mana troops. And then the defense is 1% lower on the ninja versus the mana. And then the healing is still the same at 20%. And then instead of the mana gen plus 15% that you have on your old mana 4 stars, now it's again switching out to that new stat, and that's also at 15%. So as far as the tower, just the way that I'm going to go through the tower really quickly for you so you kind of get some good information quickly is I'm going to talk about the 50 floors. There's 3 deadly chamber types that you need to know about. You need to know about blessings, you need to know about Oni curses, and we'll go over the rewards at the end. So this event is complicated at first glance when you get into it, but it's actually pretty simple. So basically the floors work like this. Floors 1 through 5 have no deadly chambers. Starting at floor 6 through 10, you're getting your first introduction to a deadly chamber, which is Toxic Vapor. So Toxic Vapor is dealing 50 damage to all your heroes every 3 turns. So it's just kind of a negative buff that's going on. You've seen this in Season 2 and Season 3 maps, so you're probably used to it by now, but it's just basically, it's one thing that's trying to push you along and say, don't take too long on these maps because you're going to be taking damage, no matter if you're taking damage from the enemies. So at floors 11 through 15, in addition to Toxic Vapor, a deadly chamber called Fragile Floor is introduced. So Fragile Floor is just essentially limiting you to 1 less item in a category than you normally could hold. So if you can normally bring in 10 small mana pots, for example, it's only letting you bring in 9. So Fragile Floor, I guess it's just a take on saying, you can't have too heavy a load of your items when you go in, so you just get 1 less. And then at floors 16 through 50, you get introduced to the third deadly chamber, which is called Erratic Time. So what Erratic Time is doing is it's all status effects cast by heroes are 1 turn shorter than normal, and they will always last at least 1 turn. So if you have something where you're putting like a burn effect on a enemy that would be like for 3 turns, now it's going to be 2. Or if you had any type of status effect like maybe a accuracy down on Baoyang, it's probably a good example. I think that lasts 2 turns. In this case, it would be reduced to 1. So the minimum would be 1 turn, so you'd never have a special ability if it were for 1 turn to be eliminated completely. So that's just kind of weakening your heroes as far as their special attacks. So each floor does increase in difficulty as you go, but in addition to the difficulty increasing, you're getting something called blessings now. So blessings are available every 3rd floor. Your first blessing starts on floor 3, and then the last blessing that you're going to get for your team is on floor 48. What's nice about the blessings as you pick them up is they're permanent for all your heroes. And by all your heroes, that's every hero that you have in your collection. It's not just the 4 or 5. It's not just the 5 heroes that you have in that group at the time that you clear the stage and get the blessing. It applies to everybody. So it's basically like a permanent buff that's helping you kind of counteract the increasing difficulty of the floors. So a couple examples of the blessings. The first blessing I came across was allowing me to choose one of these 3, which was plus 5% attack for everybody, plus 5% defense, and then plus 5% health. And then the next one that I came across was choosing one of the 3, which is plus 5 critical chance, plus 5 mana generation, or plus 5 healing. So as you go through the floors, you're just going to be stacking up these blessings. So it's kind of a nice new feature. I don't know if it's going to hold up to the increase of difficulty as you get towards the top of the floors. So if anybody has made it, past probably like 35 or 40, really start to get towards the end. If you have any comments or anything you can share in the comments about the difficulty, that would be great, because everybody's kind of new to this event. So if you haven't really tried this in beta, a lot of players haven't really gotten too far into it. That would be my suspicion. So any new information is great at this point. So Oni curses are the other new feature. So basically Oni curses across the board are bad news. You only have 3 turns to clear them when they show up. So in this image, you can see in the bottom row there's a fire tile that has a 3 on it. Basically, that's saying that it has 3 turns until the curse is going to be applied. Then if you look at my heroes, you can see where the 3 curse is on my hero. So what happens is each time that you fire tiles, it counts as a turn, and that's decreasing down to 2, and then it'll decrease to 1. And if you haven't connected 3 tiles together of the same element to clear that, essentially your hero is now going to get 1 level of a curse. So the curse is going to show up on your player icon as a 1 out of 2. Basically, it's kind of like a warning. If you get a second curse on that character, they are permanently eliminated, which means that you cannot use them in the event, any other levels of the event going forward. So I do have a tip in terms of how to deal with the curses if you are unlucky to do that. But just, I would say, just be very cautious about how you're approaching the curses. Don't worry so much about damaging the enemies. This event is really forcing you to focus more on the tile board and really manage that. So there's a lot going on there. So I guess that's probably the key difference here is, it's not so much about worrying about, you still got to attack the enemies, but you really, the board is coming into play at like a whole new level, I think, with this event. So a couple tower tips. Number one is go fast. Basically, you can't repeat cleared floors once you clear them. So this is different than other events where maybe you could go back and keep repeating and try and increase your score. So if you are trying to get a certain place or place high, basically you get one shot at each floor. Once you clear it, you can't go back. So what's going to help you get that higher score is putting together good combos, getting or clearing the board and killing the enemies as quickly as you can, just like any other event. Again, you just can't repeat. Also, the slower you go, the more turns you're taking, the more tiles you're moving around, the more Onis can pop up. So Onis, for the most part, are pretty easy to deal with, but you can get really unlucky and have an Oni curse show up at kind of the edge and you really can't connect. It's just impossible to make 3 moves to get that cleared out. So just keep in mind, as you move faster, you're basically reducing your risk of getting that really bad positioned Oni curse. The second tip is use like 4-1 teams or mono teams, because again, you're not only trying to move fast for the score, but even if you're not worried about the score, you want to be able to be taking out those enemies as quickly as possible so that you're not putting yourself at risk of those Oni curses. The third tip would be use mana pots and axes. The reason why I'm putting this in there is you only push an Oni curse forward 1 to get it closer to actually going off when you're moving tiles. So if you get in a situation where you're getting close to killing the boss off, instead of moving tiles to try and get specials going, that's where you want to use mana pots and axes, because those aren't affecting the Oni curse at all. You can basically pause the Oni curse while you're firing axes, do damage, and finish off the bosses, or you can use those mana pots to top off your specials and fire off a lot of attacks without ever having to touch the tiles. The fourth tip would be, if you get diamonds on the board, just try and save those. Kind of rethink how you were doing it in a normal play, where you just kind of fire off the diamonds and shoot all the tiles up into the enemies for your damage or for your specials to charge. Just leave those on the board if you haven't seen an Oni in a couple turns, because one is going to pop up, and hopefully you'll get lucky and that Oni element that pops up will match whatever that diamond is. Or at least the diamond will help you clear a lot of stuff so that you can get that Oni curse cleared within 1 or 2 more turns. And then number 5, if you have a good hero that gets a curse on them, go ahead and after you finish that level of the tower, I would say put them in reserves if you're not really that far in, and just kind of save them. Because it's not really worth the risk of one of your better heroes, if you get that second curse, like they're out for good, and that's for the whole event. So what I would say is just kind of be conservative on that. Just if they get a curse, just put them on the side, save them, because you'd much rather take the risk in later levels as you progress further with some of your other heroes that maybe you don't like as much. You want to save your best for last, essentially. So the last thing that I'm going to close this video on is, don't stress too much about the tower, because if you really take a look at the rewards, they're really not that great. If you rank 1, there's one person, if you're number 1 in this event, which is probably going to be someone that's already done it in beta, or just high level, they pretty much deserve to get number 1. They're only getting like 100 emblems of each category. They're not getting an automatic legendary ninja hero or anything included. They're essentially getting like 300 of the new currency, so they can do 3 pulls of the ninja portal. So when I saw rank 1, I was like, yeah, that's really not that impressive. I mean, I feel bad actually for the person that wins this whole thing. They should get something better. And then if you finish outside of the top 100,000, which if you're a mid-tier player, you know, the likelihood of that is probably pretty high. You're only getting like 2 emblems of each type, and you get 3 arrows, and then you get 5 of those new currency, which you need 100 to do a pull. So overall, you know, I don't know. I hope that Small Giant goes back and reevaluates the rewards on this event, because it just doesn't seem like it's worth putting in too much effort, because the rewards aren't great. If there were some ascension materials in here that we could go after, maybe that would improve it. But I don't know. I'm not upset about the event. I'm just not super excited about it. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more on it. But if you have experienced the event, you know, share your experiences in the comments. And if you have any questions as far as some of the stuff that I just went through, you know, I'm happy to answer any of those questions in the comments. And other than that, I look forward to catching you guys on the next video. Take care and good luck with everything in this new event.